Yeah. So, colleagues, would you like to make any comments? If not, we'll read the proclamation. Commissioner Falls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add, from the bottom of my heart, sir, thank you. Thank you very much for your bravery. Thank you very much for your service to this country.
It'd be good if we could take our picture.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you with us here, Jack. My dad was a World War II veteran. He fought in the European theater. He got a Bronze Star at the Battle of the Bulge, so it's good to see another veteran. He would have liked to have been here to meet you and talk to you about his war stories. But I would like to move the following proclamation, Mr. Chairman. John Jack Thurman Day, July 27th, 2019. Whereas Sergeant John Jack Thurman is a veteran of World War II and a survivor of Iwo Jima and a longtime Coloradan and a current resident of the city of Loveland. And whereas Jack enlisted on his 18th birthday in the United States Marine Corps at Fort Snelling and served as a member of the United States Marine Corps 5th Marine Division 27th Regiment from 1943 to 1949 out of MCB Camp Pendleton, California, during which he was deployed to Iwo Jima from February to March of 1945. And whereas Jack served as a district commander and Veterans of Foreign War commander for 11 years, VFW and American Legion office and membership since 1954, and whereas Jack is also a famous architect whose career includes involvement in the engineering building at CU Boulder and projects all over the United States and even as far as Germany, and whereas Jack's military memorabilia can be viewed at the National Marine Corps Museum in Quantico, Virginia. Whereas in 1951, Jack married Carol Meyer from Rapid City, South Dakota, with whom he has 4 children, and whereas his daughter Karen served 21 years of active duty deploying to the front lines of Bosnia in 1994, Iraq, and Gitmo. And whereas Jack will serve as the Grand Marshal at the Larimer County Fair and Rodeo Parade to be held this Saturday, July 27th. Now, therefore, we, the Larimer County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim July 27th, 2019, John Jack Thurman Day in Larimer County, and encourage our citizens to attend the Larimer County Parade to honor Jack for his service to our country and to recognize the sacrifice of all of our military service members and their families. Dated this 23rd day of July 2019, the Board of Laramie County Commissioners.
And you move the proclamation.
Yes.
All right. We have a motion. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 That motion is passed 3-0. July 27, 2019 has been proclaimed Jack Thurman Day here in Larimer County. Yay. All right. And and make sure you come out to the county fair parade and give Jack the greeting that he so deserves. And so, Jack, would you be kind enough to take a couple photos with the board with your proclamation?
Pardon?
We take your picture. I want to take a picture with you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Let's roll. All right, the board's going to come back to order. What a wonderful opportunity for the board to meet a great American hero, and to proclaim July 27th, Jack Thurman Day here in Larimer County. It's great to see him. Doing pretty good for 94.
Yeah.
Doing really well, getting around great.
Better than
Next on the agenda, the board will review the schedule for the week of July 29th, 2019. Brenda Jemison, our business operations manager, is here. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Commissioners.
How are you?
Good. On Monday, July 29th at 8:30 a.m., Commissioner Johnson will participate in the new employee orientation in the hearing room on the first floor. At 10 a.m., you have an executive session regarding emergency policy group training and a continuity of operations exercise. At 1:30 p.m., you have a community development work session with Lori Cadridge, the interim director of community planning, infrastructure, and resources. At 3 p.m., you have the land use items with the development review team in the hearing room on the first floor. At 5:30 p.m., the commissioners will host a meeting regarding the future of land use planning in Estes Valley, and that will be at the town hall, which is a change in location at 170 McGregor Avenue in Estes Park. On Tuesday, July 30th at 9 a.m., you have an administrative matters meeting. That's this meeting here in this room. At 1:30 p.m., you have administrative direction to the county management, and that's in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. On Wednesday, July 31st at 9 a.m., Commissioner Donnelly will host a discussion of the Northern Colorado Transportation at the Windsor Community Rec Center in Windsor. At 5:30 p.m., Commissioners will attend the second quarterly joint regional elected meeting at the Rialto Theater in Loveland. On Thursday, August 1st at 7:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalos will host a community conversation at the T-Bar Inn in Wellington. At 9 a.m., Commissioner Kafalos may attend the Climate Committee's congressional field hearing in Boulder. At 11:30 a.m., Commissioner Donnelly will participate in a joint citizen meeting with Mayor Marsh at the Loveland Public Library in Loveland. At 1 p.m., Commissioner Kafalos may attend the World Wisdom Project Advisory Committee meeting at the First United Methodist Church here in Fort Collins. At 6 p.m., Commissioner Donnelly will attend the North Front Range Transportation Metropolitan Planning Organizational Council meeting at the Milliken Town Hall in Milliken. At 6 p.m., Commissioner Johnson may attend the Board of Health meeting. That's in the hearing room on the first floor. On Friday, August 2nd at 7:30 a.m., Commissioner Donnelly will attend the Chamber of Commerce Legislative Affairs Committee meeting at 225 South Meldrum in Fort Collins. At 12:30 p.m., Commissioner Donnelly may attend the I-25 Funding Committee meeting at the Candlelight Dinner Theater in Johnstown. On Saturday, August 3rd at 9 a.m., Commissioner Kafalos will host a community conversation at Dazbog Coffee in Fort Collins. On Sunday, August 4th at 7 a.m., Commissioners will serve at the Larimer County Fair Pancake Breakfast at the Ranch in Loveland. At 1 p.m., Commissioner will attend the Larimer County Fair and Rodeo Queens Luncheon at the Ranch Bar and Grill in Loveland. At 7 p.m., the Commissioners will attend the Larimer County Fair and Rodeo, at the Budweiser Event Center in Loveland. That would be all I have for the week.
Very good. Any questions, corrections, or additions to the agenda for Brenda at this time? No? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
So, pancake breakfast. Politicians doling out the pork. Come for it. It's a fun time. Consent agenda. This week. 8 agreements, rather. No, I'm wrong. 11 agreements, 8 miscellaneous items, and that's the extent of the consent agenda. Would either of my colleagues like to remove any of these items from consent agenda for additional information?
No, Mr. Chair.
I would not.
Commissioner Kafalos.
I move to approve the consent agenda as published.
Very good. We have a motion. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
That motion is passed 3-0. Commissioners' guests. Do either of my colleagues have a guest this morning?
I do not.
Nor do I.
Very good. 2019 Behavioral Health Services Distributed Services Funding. Lori Stolen, our Behavioral Health Program Director, is here with us. Lori, come on up. And anyone who might like to come up and talk about what's going on. Welcome, Lori. So for folks who might be listening in online to this meeting, maybe we would start with some introductions. Lori, why don't you begin?
Absolutely. My name is Laurie Stolen, Behavioral Health Services Director for Larimer County.
Gary, you want to go next?
Gary Darling, Director of Criminal Justice Services, Larimer County.
Nick Christensen, Behavioral Health Policy Council at-large member.
And Nina Bodenhammer.
Great. Well, welcome, everyone. So what's going on?
Today's an exciting day, and I am honored to have three folks here with me today. This work started many years ago. Thanks to Gary Darling, it's become a reality that we are here in front of you today to bring recommendations for the inaugural year of distributed service funding. You allocated $1 million for 2019 to be strategically distributed throughout Larimer County to help enhance and improve behavioral health services. And we have those recommendations to provide to you today. They were created through much work, much research, much effort over the past many years. And we have screened them through a rigorous and transparent process to come up with these recommendations for this inaugural year of funding. Excuse me. We have provided these recommendations to our Behavioral Health Policy Council, and they were excitedly, and I could certainly let Nick speak to that experience as well, enthusiastic about voting to approve these recommendations at the full funding recommendation that was brought to them, and we're excited to bring them to you today for final ratification so we can then go back to work and make these grant agreements happen to distribute these funds to start seeing some improvements in our behavioral health in our community. Nick, is there anything that you'd like to say about this inaugural funding?
Well, I'll just tack on that our Behavioral Health Policy Council is very excited about this. We're pleased to be able to recommend putting some money out into the community right away to meet a lot of unmet needs going forward. It was a unanimous vote, and I want to thank the commissioners for your leadership in getting us to this point. Lori, Nina, and the team here have just done a wonderful job and made our job very easy, so I'm just pleased to be a part of this and supporting all of our efforts. Thank you.
So to start off with, the Policy Council created 4 priority areas for 2019 funding, and they include suicide prevention, mental illness, substance use disorder programming and services, stigma reduction, public information and community engagement, and then innovation and new practices. And so we did our best to identify the agencies and the partners in our community that would best suit meeting these priority areas. And so we came up with these 11 partners to do funding in 2019. These recommendations equal $845,000. You might ask, well, what are you going to do with the other $155,000? Well, what we've decided to do is to give our Policy Council the opportunity to go through a small, in a beginning, an inaugural grant cycle. We will open up the month of August as a community grant opportunity. And we have decided to cap those grants at $10,000. And we will have the application is complete. We've got the link for it. We've got the emails for submission set up. It will be on our website and opened August 1st. The grant cycle will go through August 30th, and then the review of those applications based off of the criteria that our technical advisory committee has created. We will filter those applications for grants, bring them back to the Policy Council for approval, and then again in September we'll come back in front of you to ratify those decisions for the additional $155,000 to fill out the $1 million of 2019 funding. Our programming year will go from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th of 2020. So and we know that we're distributing the dollars late in this year, but we've been very busy at creating a foundation to do this grant funding. And so we actually are very happy to provide these recommendations to you today. I believe you have a copy of the recommendations in front of you, but would it be helpful for me to read down each one of them?
Sure, why don't you do that?
Okay. So first one is to our Poudre School District for mental health education and connection. And we recommended $100,000 and bring that to you today. I would be happy to also read through some of the summary of the information in each one of the executive summary of the applications. So Poudre School District will hire a licensed mental health and social work specialist with expertise in prevention to lead preventative mental health identification, education, and program development for PSD schools. We have measurable results that will be identified in each one of the grants for each one of these applications as well. And so our staff will be busy creating that baseline data so we can be able to report out on the results of these dollars. The next one is with Thompson School District for $100,000. They would like to apply these dollars towards a universal social emotional learning project. It's a newly formed student success team with expertise focused on assisting schools to plan and implement mental health and preventative activities. The next one is also for $100,000 to Estes Park School District. They will implement a Tier 1 social emotional learning competency-based program at each school, which will include training for staff and tools for implementation and support of behavioral health services to students in need. Next on the list, we have the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery, one I'm very excited about because of the early win, the high visibility, and the opportunity for literally every person in Larimer County to be able to experience this partnership that we have with the Science Museum. It's a traveling exhibit called Mental Health Mind Matters. And we have had folks go through that exhibit and say that it equates to up to 12 visits with a therapist. The level of education awareness that people receive from this interactive exhibit and the stigma reduction that it has the potential to do in our community. It aims to build greater understanding of the importance of mental health and to create a safe space for meaningful conversations about mental illness. Next, we have a $100,000 recommendation for the Alliance of Suicide Prevention. For many years, we've been working on creating a merger of Imagine Zero and Alliance for Suicide Prevention, and we're realizing that right now they're in the process of creating that merger, which will strengthen both of their organizations. And what they'd like to do is to strengthen the programming that they provide to our community and expand their infrastructure and create a new veterans outreach program, and then underwrite a mental health training coordinator who will strengthen the expansion of services around the county. Next on the list, we have $60,000 to our two salutes in Fort Collins. Actually, one's in Fort Collins and one's in Estes Park. So the two salutes in Larimer County. And the funding will be used to train 8 staff members through the Crisis Prevention Institute to become certified trainers that we can then expand the training throughout Larimer County for trauma-informed care. We hope to take this trauma-informed care to a new level in Larimer County to provide it to our primary care physicians, to our law enforcement, to first responders, and so we are all consistently managing folks that have high use needs with consistent treatment. The next one is to LEAP. The Early Childhood Council of Larimer County has a LEAP coalition, and it represents over 60 representatives and 25 organizations that practice mental health therapy and work through our early childhood providers. The next one is for a veterans program, a trauma recovery support program called Healing Warriors Program. We'd like to recommend a $25,000 grant award to them to provide evidence-based integrative care services. They work with folks that have PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and sleep disturbance. And the next one is $25,000 to Harvest Farms. They want to fund a peer leadership program. Their mission and purpose is changing the lives of men experiencing homelessness by meeting them at their individual points of need. Helps them gain employment, returning to society as productive, self-sufficient citizens in recovery. 2 more recommendations that we would like to make for you today. One is through the Grand Family Coalition, a recommendation of $5,000 for them. They are known as a 3-gen organization, that they promote the unity of grand families who are raising their grandchildren because the parents of those grandchildren are struggling or challenged with mental illness or substance use disorders. So this funding will strengthen and expand their existing program and its services, which include support groups and social events and educational programs. And lastly, not a salute, but an FQHC, which is a federally qualified health center in Loveland, Sunrise Community Health, in partnership with our Northern Colorado Opioid Prevention Work Group, otherwise known as COLSLAW, which is the Colorado Synergy Larimer and Weld, which is funded through a large SAMHSA grant to reduce our opioid epidemic and increase medication-assisted treatment throughout Larimer County. So this is a combined grant, one of $25,000 and one of $30,000 to equal $55,000 that would be used to increase services for our uninsured individuals, provide advanced dental treatment and substance use and behavioral health disordered folks, and expand on off-site training in addiction, chronic pain, and behavioral change for primary care clinicians. So that rounds out our $845,000 worth of grant recommendations to you for hopefully your approval today. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Very good. Any questions for Lori and the folks up here? Commissioner, do you have anything?
I don't have any questions, but I want to say a few things about these awards. Is that I'm really appreciative, and we stressed in the ballot language that we would be providing services throughout Larimer County, and you can see from all of these that every area of the county is covered in this very first round of distributed services. Next year it'll be 2.5 times as much as this, but the group really did an outstanding job. We only started getting this money in March, and they did an outstanding job of getting this money just a few months out into the community, out into all the communities. Every school district is represented, Estes Park with Salud, Wellington with Harvest Farms, and these are groups that have experience in the county that we have some history in working with that we know will make good use of the funds. The 3 school district programs really represent a tremendous amount of work on the part of Lori and her staff to work with the different school districts. They're all slightly different programs if you look at those school district programs, because each one of the school districts is in a slightly different place, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. It meets the need of where every school district is. The other thing I wanted to point out, the Museum of Discovery one is very interesting. We heard a lot in working on this initiative that information to the public is so important. Awareness, dealing with stigma, getting out good information, getting people talking about mental illness. Just that public education part is such a big deal. And this is not just bringing what I heard in the committee that really excited me about this one is it's not just bringing the exhibit, although we're leveraging with other partners to do that. So this money is very heavily leveraged in a number of these proposals. But you can see in the measurable results that what this money will do, in addition to help bring the exhibit, is to make it possible for folks that otherwise might not be able to afford or have access to the museum to be able to come and see the exhibit so that everybody can come and see it. And I think Lori's been talking about working with school groups to try to get, kids in there, and so they can afford to do that. The funds will help support that. The last thing I want to say is I'm really excited to see every one of these has measurable results. Many of them are time stamped, just like our SMART goals. I saw one here I wanted to point out. So almost all of them have a time. The number of and I know the one I wanted to look at was the Grand Family Coalition, $5,000. So what can $5,000 do? It's not just supporting what they're already doing. It's expanding the capacity to serve 60 additional individuals. So every one of these has how many people will be served and by a certain amount of date, because we want to report to the community at the end of the fiscal year what we've done exactly. And these guys have an excellent start at showing exactly how many people have been helped that wouldn't have been helped without this money. So they've done a tremendous, it looks real simple on these few pages, but it's probably a year or two of work that Lori and her staff and the members of the TAC and the members of the PAC and many others in the community that have volunteered ideas and time to this project are all represented on these few pages.
So true. Very good. Commissioner, do you have some comments or questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And not to repeat what Commissioner Johnson comprehensively stated, but I do wish to commend you all for working really hard to get us to this point. The Behavioral Health Policy Council, the Technical Advisory Committee. I think it's important that the people know, the voters know, that we are fulfilling our responsibility to the voters, which is to make sure that these resources are spread throughout the county in places where there weren't resources before, that we're leveraging these resources. A lot of these services, programs that are being funded involve training, such as training medical professionals in trauma-informed care. And so there's a leveraging component to that. Those folks will go out and be able to help address these complex issues. I also think that we're fulfilling our responsibility to the voters by really focusing in on the four areas: suicide prevention, behavioral health, which includes, of course, addressing mental illness and substance use disorders, public awareness, overcoming stigma. I think it's really cool about the Discovery Museum outreach. I'm looking forward to that, and that there seems to be an emphasis on reaching underserved communities, which is something that is also very important. And the fact that we're supporting programs like Healing Warriors, which does some really creative and innovative things, the fourth area with veterans, that's just another example of you've done your job well. And for that, commendations. Thanks a lot. The journey has only just begun. Thank you, Nick.
Well, great. Yeah, good work. And what else can I add that hasn't been said? So I'd look for motion. Commissioner Johnson.
I think it's John's turn.
Oh, he did the consent agenda. It's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve in whole the recommendations of the Larimer County Behavioral Health Policy Council for 2019 distributed services funding.
Very good. The motion, all those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
That motion is passed 3-0. Thank you all for coming down. Great to see you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, and I do have a token of our appreciation for your service and for your willingness, and so I would like to offer you a memorabilia
do that.
token of our first year of dollars.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
And as
Thank you,
Lori's
Gary.
doing that, we'll invite Nancy to come on up. We're going to take care of that.
thank
oh
you.
Boy. Thank you very much. How nice.
It's two-sided. So
It's a medallion.
It's a medallion.
a medallion.
Not
not
a
call-
coin.
do not call it a
Not
coin.
legal tender. You can try, but it won't work. How nice. Oh, look at that, Linda.
Increase
There you go.
access
I've got a
to
pretty extensive
affordable
collection of those things now.
Behavioral health care. Wow.
Okay, we're going to ask Nancy Testori, our recording manager, and some other folks from the Larimer County Clerk and Recorder's Office to come up. As part of the reappraisal process for real estate, you have the ability to protest your valuation. You go through a evaluation process where you meet with the assessor staff and try to negotiate a value there. If that doesn't work, you go to the Board of Equalization. The Board of Equalization is none other than the Board of County Commissioners. There are a number of hearings, and so it has been the tradition of the Board of County Commissioners to appoint referees to hold those hearings. Those referees are folks who have specific real estate experience, or appraisers, or realtors, or have work with land appraisal in some way or another. Their hearings are going on right now downstairs on the first floor, and so because we are the actual Board of Equalization, it's required that that we will verify and uphold the decisions made by our appointed referees. And so that's what the board will seek to do today. And Nancy will probably explain a little bit more about what's going on there. Perhaps before we do that, we should convene as the Board of Equalization. Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to convene as the Board of Equalization.
Very good. We have a motion. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
That motion is passed 3-0. The Board of Equalization is in session. Nancy, why don't you ladies introduce yourselves for those who might be listening in online, because this is a very exciting stuff.
This is Kaylee Ogden. She's one of the administrators of the County Board of Equalization this year.
Hi,
Joanne
Kaylee.
Hertz
Yep.
is also administrator of the program for this year.
Very good. So what do you have for us today?
Well, the report in front of you is for the first 3 days of hearings, July 15th through the 17th. And as you can see there, the assessors, the assessors amount, the referees' decisions, and the amount of adjustment.
Oh, boy.
How many panels do we have going at one time?
15
I don't
million in
recall.
value change.
For these 3 days, I believe we had 6.
6 panels, okay, of
We,
2 people each?
one person each,
One
one
person each?
referee.
Okay.
We're set up for 14 if we need them.
Okay. Okay.
There's nothing we can do about it now, but anyway, okay. Commissioner, did you have a question? This, I believe, the first time you participated in this, this process.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your hard work. And I'm wondering, in some of these hearings, it talks about the difference in the valuation, and it makes reference to the stipulation. Could you help me understand better when, as I understand the process, if a person appeals his or her valuation when they get the notice, then oftentimes the assessor's office will contact the individual, the taxpayer, and there's they offer an adjusted value, a stipulation, and then if the person is still not satisfied, then they would come to the Board of Equalization. And I see that cited here. Could you help me to understand what's going on there?
Sure. Anyone who petitions to the County Board of Equalization is scheduled a hearing. Once that hearing is scheduled, any evidence that the petitioner brings forward, we scan and the assessor's office reviews that and will sometimes contact the petitioner to see if they can work out some sort of agreement. The hearing is still held. In most instances, the petitioner does not attend, the appraiser from the assessor's office does not attend, and the referee notes that it was an agreement made between the parties, and it's read into record.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? A
I
lot
have a
of
question.
adjustment this year, much more than in previous years when there's very few properties that are actually adjusted. So
I do have a question. We had
Commissioner.
an individual, I think John may have worked with, that couldn't make their scheduled time. Did that get rescheduled, or is that in here, or was that later than this? Do you know, John?
Mr. Chair, may I comment?
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I spoke to that individual yesterday, and that person was able to participate in his hearing yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It was inconvenient because the gentleman works in Aurora and had to basically take a day off from work to do that. But I think the matter has been resolved to his satisfaction, and we had a good discussion on the phone.
Yeah, I'm sure, our referees serve during the day, so I'm sure a lot of the folks probably have to make those kind of arrangements to come into a hearing. But with this many, it's something we can't always hold at times that are convenient for everybody when we have this many. And these guys try to do the best job they can.
How many hearings are there, Commissioner Nancy?
Well, right now, we're still scheduling.
Oh, still.
Yes, still. And right now, we're a little over 1,100, I believe.
Okay.
And so, well over 1,000 hearings. We have. I don't know how many referees do we have this year. 5 or 7 or
We have 14.
14. Oh,
We're
we have
set up for
doubled.
14 boards if we need them.
Okay. And so they're doing one hearing every 15 minutes.
That is
Every
correct.
15 minutes?
Yes, they're working. I went down and checked in to see how they were doing yesterday, a couple days ago on the first day of hearings, and the clerk's office staff told me I couldn't stand in there and talk. They needed me to get the hell out of there so they could get back to work.
They're smart.
So yeah, I know. That's why I don't do the hearings. All right, very good. Any other questions or comments?
Can I make a
one-
comment, Commissioner?
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to thank the clerk's office for your partnership in this process. I know that it is a large administrative load for you, and you handle it with grace, and getting all of those things organized and conducted and the paperwork prepared is a heroic effort, and you do it well. So thank you so much for your partnership. It's wonderful for our office to have your help and to have confidence in the quality of the work you're producing. So thank you for the fairness and smooth conduct that
and
you're enabling.
Here,
Thank you.
here. That's well said, Linda. And it hasn't always been that way. We haven't always had such a smooth run with as far as the Board of Equalization is concerned. And so you ladies do deserve tremendous credit for how smoothly it does run. And I know no one is no one feels very good about going through this process. I mean, I mean, it's an adversarial process. I mean, by necessity it is. I mean, and so no one comes out of it usually feeling very good. But I think the way that the hearings themselves have been managed is very well done. And so I know that most people feel that way, that they've received great service from our clerk staff who've really helped this process move along more smoothly. So.
One comment to Commissioner Kafalis's about the gentleman who it was inconvenient. A petitioner can always appoint an agent to attend also.
Yeah,
if they're unable to attend.
Yeah, and there's even real estate agents and folks who will do it for free. I mean, for people. I mean, you can hire somebody, and some people hire attorneys, and like the big commercial property owners will hire attorneys, and there's professional tax agents, but a lot of realtors do them as well. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Good point. Okay, you ready to go ahead? Look for a motion to approve the recommendations. Commissioner Cafalis, why don't you just handle the whole thing?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve recommendations of the Board of Equalization referees for the hearings held July 15th through the 17th, 2019.
Very good. Do you have a motion? All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
That motion is passed 3-0. Commissioner Cafalis.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I move to adjourn meeting as the Board of Equalization and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Very good. Do you have a motion? All those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
That motion is passed 3-0. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Linda.
For the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work down there. All right, County Manager update. What have you been up to, County Manager?
Well, the first thing is kind of an exciting thing. I was slipped a note after Mr. Thurman left, and he wanted me.
On a day, take you out to dinner.
He wanted me to enter into the public record that he is accepting the proclamation on behalf of all of those of his colleagues and fellow soldiers who did not make it back.
What a wonderful
from
guy.
the war.
What a wonderful guy.
And to say thank you for the honor of the proclamation.
Yeah,
So
nice.
I'm happy to deliver that into the record on behalf of Mr. Thurman.
Very good. Wonderful.
So a lot of my work this week had to do with communication with our many partners on the proposal for a half penny to support regional infrastructure needs, including a combination of transportation and service delivery for things like alternative sentencing and the courts and human services. We had a series of meetings both with councils that commissioners always attended or at the staff level. And I've just got to say, we are such a wonderful community. Everyone is approaching this with such a regional spirit and with the idea that a good solution can be crafted. And I want to recognize their leadership and their solution orientation in trying to craft the very best proposal possible. I know sometimes it's easy to think about this in a real myopic way, but everyone is really trying to get on board with taking a regional approach like we've seen in behavioral health. And I think what we saw today with their work is a real example of how much we can get done when we work regionally, and to put our trust in the hands of a diverse policy council like the one in behavioral health is clearly a successful strategy, and we're hopeful that we're able to employ that as we move forward with regional improvements for people. So that's really the bulk of my report today. I attended some other meetings, but I'm sure that the three of you will talk about our meeting in Berthoud and more. So that's my report.
Very good. Commissioner activity reports. Who'd like to begin? Commissioner Cafalis.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just two things to mention. One is that last Friday I attended the grand opening of the United Way facility, Collective Impact, they're calling it, but it's in the old on Oak and Whitcomb where the Summit Stone Health Partners used to be located. So they've moved into there. They're in the process of getting the offices in place, but it's meant to be a one-stop shop and allow for a lot of collaboration. So I was able to attend that, And when they vacated the Pine Street offices, that actually freed up a lot of space for the Learning Tree early child care center, which allowed them to add an additional 129 child care slots. So it's a great collaborative thing. And then the second thing I'll mention is that I think it was on Sunday at the Civic Center Park. I attended the Northern Colorado Pride Fest, and there were lots of different booths. The Larimer County Health Department was represented, so I thought it was a good event, walking around, meeting folks, and looking at all the information. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Commissioner Johnson.
One thing I wanted to share was Lori and I and Stephen Gillette and Lou Perez, who's a relatively new deputy landfill manager. What is it?
Solid waste director.
Solid waste director. Had lunch just to get some updates on some refinements of the plans for the new landfill site, and we discussed that it might be a good idea to bring the stakeholder group back into a meeting just to maintain communication with them and keep open lines of communication as the master plan goes forward. And that's really all I had to share this
Very
week.
good. Last week, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, Manager Hoffman and I attended the Wellington Town Board meetings study session to talk about our regional transportation proposal that has been that we have been working on for the past year and a half. Great. I thought we had a good reception from the Wellington Town Board. I'm always impressed at how regionally focused our smaller communities are, and this was no exception. Wellington was, I thought very accepting and excited about what's proposed by the county. And so tonight we'll see if we can continue that streak of good feelings. Lori and I go to the Loveland City Council to talk about the county's proposal. Looks to be an exciting time. If anyone wants to, it's a work session, I think, and not a regular really regular council meeting. And so, I don't remember what time we start, but it's this evening at what time, Lori? 6. Very good. So we'll be there. Of interest to the board, the executive committee of the Fair Board met last week, and I saw that you gentlemen received your shirts. I hope they fit.
They did.
You'll be wearing them a lot next week. But of interest particularly to you, Commissioner Johnson, from your past life, there's apparently a fairly significant outbreak of vesicular stomatitis
Yeah, I knew that.
in Larimer County, or in Colorado, actually, which is a it's a infection or viral infection that affects horses and cattle and all kinds of animals, and particularly when they're in close proximity to one another, they develop painful ulcers in their mouths and things like that, and so and they stop eating, and so it's not. I don't think it's not a fatal illness, but it is very highly communicable and very debilitating for livestock. Well, next week the fair starts, and so we have literally hundreds of horses come into the county fairgrounds, and not just from 4-H participants, but we all and cattle as well, and swine and every other kind of livestock you might imagine. We also have a large string of bucking horses for the rodeo. We have rodeo cowboys that are coming in, hauling their horses. So managing to prevent the outbreak of that disease is really quite a production. And I was really surprised to learn about the steps that are going to be taken under the advice of the state veterinarian's office. They will be inspecting every single
Horse.
every single piece of livestock that's coming in to be shown. Yeah, every single one. So the check-in at the fair is going to take longer than usual, but they're going to inspect every single. They're going to try to inspect every single horse, every single beef cow, every animal. I mean, think about all the rodeos and we do like an open class roping for all the old cowboys to come, and every one of those horses is going to have to be inspected to come in It's a big deal.
So do most livestock understand open your mouth and say ah?
Yeah, I don't know about that. You get your tongue depressor
They do
out.
when otherwise I don't look in their mouth.
And so, yeah, he was a small animal guy, maybe for good reason. Maybe you understand it now.
They bite more.
So yeah, so you're either going to have to, under the recommendations from the state vet, you're going to have a veterinarian's certificate that's within 48 hours of the time when you bring the livestock in, or you're going to have to be inspected on site when you bring your livestock in. And so it is going to cause some delays. It's going to cause some delays. There's no doubt about it. But
Will there be fees for those inspections?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
think
I
so.
don't believe there is. I should know that,
Not the
but
ones we
I
do.
think we
I
do.
don't think
I think
so.
we do not inspect. I charge for the
Part of the
inspection.
check-in process.
Yeah. So obviously no one will pay a veterinarian probably to come in if they get the inspection for free. But it will take a long time. It already takes a long time because every steer that gets off the trailer gets weighed, and everything like that. And so it's going to be another step in the process for sure.
And yours always got loose.
Oh, and yeah, one time. Gosh darn it. Linda, can you put something up on the screen? It's probably not going to, no, you probably can't very effectively, can you?
I can work on it.
Because, I take my job as the fair board liaison very seriously. And so,
Big improvement over the last
I know. Last week, I went out to the fair for a very special, there was a very special group of kids there that were working on their projects, and it won't work. Nah, too bad.
Is Alicia's computer on?
Nah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I went out and checked out the cat show. Yes, the cat show. And I got some pictures taken with some of the participants. There's a great photo of me holding Harry Purter, who was a cat participant.
Paradise.
His owner was wearing the robes, wizard robes, and his cat kennel was decorated like a castle. And he was edgy. He was pretty edgy. I'm not gonna lie. I had to put a pretty tight grip on him. But those kids did some great work showing their cats. That's okay. We don't need to worry about it.
Happened to the last cat you were-
Yeah. Anyway, it was great to see kids getting out there. One of the very best leadership programs has been shown is 4-H, and so.
Put it on our Facebook page.
Well, it was on
Tom
the.
Clayton put it on
Yeah.
our
Okay.
Facebook
I'll
page.
do that. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun.
Be the perfect answer.
Perfect. Very good. Any legal matters today, Linda?
None today, Commissioner.
Very good. Is there any further business to come before the board this morning?
None today,
Then the
Commissioner.
board will stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for coming.